Well, it's on the right along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Right along live, I mean, yeah.
Bienvenido a Monday. Say Monday again. Come to me later. Welcome to Monday. How you guys doing? Welcome. As you come in, go ahead and share the thing. Share the program, put it on a page, start a watch party, all of that stuff. Today is probably one of the most important and interesting conversation that you would ever hear on Ride Along. Historical Ride Along. Go ahead, put it on your page right now. Share it, and say I share. Go ahead, do it right now. Go ahead and put it on your page right now and say I share. As soon as you put it on your page, say I share. And let me know that you are here sharing. Sharing is caring. I'm doing right here. I'm sharing to all my friends all over the world. I'm sharing to everybody. Hey, Cicely, how you doing? Big up yourself. Welcome to the ride. Hey, Patricia Noel, how you doing? Tamika Rogers. Kennedy Twit Philip, my brother, how you doing? Chevon Benjamin, happy birthday to you. Chevon Benjamin Francis, happy birthday to you. Celebrating here in September. Lacey J, she said I'll sit out this program. Thank you, Lacey J. Have a great day. Shalom, big up yourself, I share. Here's the Ferguson, big up yourself. Ian Baker. Hey, Tamika Rogers, how you doing? How you doing, Tamika Rogers? Lydia James. Hi, Yvonne, how you doing? Guys, today, as I said, is an important program because whenever we get a chance to understand and meet new people and talk to them and build awareness, we're happy. That's why I am happy today. That's why I said today is a very interesting and probably one of the interesting program one of the most interesting program that you would have right there. You see that lady sitting right next to me? Her name is Zarian. Am I getting it right? Zarian?
Yes, Zarian.
Zarian.
Yes.
Zarian, welcome to Ride Along. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with us.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I was telling you earlier, you don't look nervous at all.
No, I have a natural, this natural aura about myself where I just like to talk to people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. I really appreciate you taking the time. We was trying to get something done for last week, but I think
Yeah.
today is a better day. I think Monday, starting off the day with information and understanding and acceptance, it starts out a good vibe for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to call it Motivation Monday.
Motivation Monday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's Motivation Monday because with motivation, comes awareness and understanding and enlightenment. So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
I'll talk to my producer Lynn and Winsome to probably sneak that in there. Motivational Mondays.
Yeah, Motivational Monday.
I like that. All right. So Deanna and the rest of the crew in there, they said just to shorten it, they're gonna call you Z.
That's fine. That's what they call me at work.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So as we promoted on the screen, born a male, living your life as a female. Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna get all into it and the right terminologies, technicalities, and all that other stuff. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself. More about yourself.
Well, I'm Darian. I am 30 years old, live here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I was born in South Georgia in a very small town called Hawkinsville,
Right.
Georgia. And I moved up here in 2013 and been up here ever since then. I started a nonprofit organization called NOMO, which stands for Navigating Omitted Minds Over Time. And it's for transgender women of color. And what we inspire to do is to empower trans women of color as they embrace their healing and their purpose in the world. And that's one of the main focuses. But another focus of mine is education. And what we do is we have benefits throughout the year where we raise money to fund scholarships to help transgender high school students off to college, because there is such a disparity there when it comes to transgender high school students in high school with low GPAs because of them being picked on and ostracized. So I decided to do that, and because I know what education has done for me. I have an associate's degree in marketing management. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I have 12 more months left before I finish my master's in education. So, yeah, I have definitely tried to do my part and make sure that people not only see the positive side of being transgender, but also bringing awareness that everybody is not the same. What they see on TV or what they may have heard in the media or on social media or even in their own experiences, that everybody is not the same. Everybody is different.
Okay.
So,
all right. So let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it.
I must also alert you that during the duration of the program, I want you to permit me or give me a permit of sorts to ask a few ignorant questions.
Okay, because I know they're coming, so it's fine.
It's fine.
That's how we build an understanding.
Right.
You have to ask those questions.
I have to ask certain questions.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So, tell us about growing up as a young man and your decision to transition.
Well, growing up in a very small country town, my family was we're a very tight-knit family. I have two sisters that I grew up with, my mom, dad, my grandmother, my aunt who's no longer here with us, and my uncle. We've always been tight. I grew up around nothing but love. We never saw I never saw anything else but that. So I knew around 4 or 5 years old that I was different. I knew that what my anatomy, my male anatomy, did not coincide with how I felt on the inside, and I knew something then was wrong. Although I didn't know a name for it, I just knew that I felt different. But growing up in such a loving environment, nobody really paid attention to it because I didn't know what to give it, because we were all treated the same.
Right.
We were all loved the same. And so it wasn't until about I was 16, maybe 17 years old when I started this space mentally where I started hurting myself. I started cutting. I started self-medicating myself because I didn't know who I was.
Right.
And when I was 18, when I turned 18 years old, when I was old enough to go to the club, I went to my girlfriend's house and I got dressed up and I had long hair. I had on this leopard and turquoise dress and these bronze heels. And I went to the club and I had the time of my life. And that was at 18 years old. And then it was called cross-dressing.
Right.
However, for me, it didn't feel cross-dressing. It felt normal. There was a normalcy when I was putting my makeup on, when I was, putting my wig on at the time, and I was getting my makeup and stuff done. And it wasn't until I was 26 years old is when I decided to go ahead and start my transition. And my ex-husband actually is the one that actually inspired and encouraged me to go ahead and start my transition from male to female, because he saw how unhappy I was with being a male and having to not live in my truth every single day. He saw how it was just diminishing me. And so ever since then, I was like, I'm not looking back anymore. I'm this free bird. I am out of the cage now. I'm able to be myself, and I'm finally able to be me, and I'm loving the person that I am now.
So,
and I would never go back.
Throughout the duration of the time before you went full-fledged, well, at the time you say it was cross-dressing, did you have a lot of heterosexual relationships, or did you have more homosexual relationships?
It was more, I had boyfriends, so it was more gay relationships. I had a boyfriend in high school. Shortly after high school, once I finished my first degree, I established another boyfriend, because my sexuality, I identified as just being gay, but that was just for that season.
Right.
But yeah, I although there were cisgender men that did hit on me and did want to talk to me, because I've always been flamboyant, so to speak. I've always, had a very high-pitched voice for a male, and at the time, but it's always been homosexual relationships.
So during that time, you was as flamboyant as you are right now, without the hair, and without all of that stuff. You was like a male body with all the flamboyance and the hand movements and just all of that.
Yeah, because all of this, it came natural. It wasn't pretend.
Oh.
Yeah, nothing was fake about me. I've never tried to hide anything about myself then, because I knew there was somebody else that was in there that I couldn't let out at that specific time.
Right. How was puberty? How was puberty?
Let me tell you something. I think I probably am still going through puberty, because this is probably the deepest my voice has ever been in my entire life, and I'm 30.
Wow.
And so I think puberty just kind of skipped over me and was like, you know what, you just a woman, just stop it. And then what I noticed too during puberty, I actually started breast development around the age of 12 and 13.
Hold on. So, back up. So you, as a as a male, well, of course you was born a male, but you studied
Right.
breast development?
Yeah, I had like these little nubs, and I was like, where on earth are these things coming from? I didn't know what it was.
Right.
But I was like, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. But I will fast forward and say this. Before I started any type of hormone replacement therapy, I found out from my endocrinologist that my body was naturally producing more estrogen than testosterone in my body anyway.
Right.
So I think that probably played a part in that, because that was the question I did ask my doctor.
Right.
I was like, well, being that my estrogen levels are already slightly elevated, and my testosterone levels were very, very, very low. I asked her, I said, did that have anything to do with probably me having, breast development around 13, 14? And she was like, probably yes.
Yeah. So how did your father or your parents, let's look at your father first, how did he react to him now accepting your lifestyle? You were born a male child, and you have all these female movements, attributes, flamboyance, and like little nubs as breasts. How did your family accept that whole fact?
Well, my sisters have always been my backbone. Even when I came out as then gay, my sisters, I shared with my sisters first before I even said anything to my parents, and made my sisters promise not to say anything to my parents until I was ready.
Right.
And they didn't.
So they couldn't tell? They couldn't tell if you have all the flamboyance?
I truly believe that my parents knew, and I think for them it was me being comfortable with me to come to them, and actually telling them. And so once that space was created and I saw the opportunity present itself, I took it.
Right.
And so while my aunt, who isn't no longer here, who I love dearly, she was a lesbian.
Okay.
So having LGBT people in our family is not uncommon. So with my aunt really being the only other person that I knew at the time that I could truly talk to, I pulled most of my energy and strength from her. So when I did talk to my parents, I kind of just told them what it was, and I feel they were okay, but they were hurt behind it. But at the same time, they knew. They just wanted me to be comfortable to come to them and talk to them about it. And so while they accepted it at the time, because my parents they are in the church, still have been in church, been deacons over 20 years. So while they're in the church, I'm happy to say that my parents took the extra mile with, researching and reading books and trying to understand, homosexuality and religion, and how it can truly coincide, and how you don't necessarily have to agree on everything, but at least understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for folks, if you just came in, we're talking to Z.
There you go.
Yeah. She was born a male and living her life as a female. Now, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. So correct me. What is the right way to say it?
To say what?
Like, is it born a male, living your life as a female, or what is the terminology?
I
What's the right
prefer
way?
just say it's transgendered woman or trans woman.
Trans woman. All right.
Right.
So she's a trans woman. At a very early age growing up, she identified she was a little bit different. No running around kicking balls, soccer, no football, no rugby, no climbing trees, like all of that stuff.
No.
What did you do with the doll?
Well, because I had two sisters, we always played house. So we would always, do the doll's hair. We would, build, our little imaginary houses, and, we played houses. I would get a T-shirt and put it on my head and pretend it was hair. and I would have, one of their baby dolls, and I would pretend to be, the parent, the mom, and make sure the baby had what it needed. And, this went on for years and years and years. And so, I mean, with some parents, they may think that it's just a phase and, they'll grow out of it. But that was just who I was, is who I identified as at the time. Yeah.
I understand that. So at that age as well, I want to get that part out of the way so we can move on to the other parts of the the ride. You felt that you were gay, or you felt that you were attracted to men as a male yourself. What point did you think, well, that's not sufficient? Like, I have to look more the part, and I have to dress the part more like a female. And what made you think that? What made you make that initial move to start dressing like a female, and not to say, okay, well, I'm gay? Because there's a lot of gay men who live their life as just gay. They just men that like men, and they don't dress. They're not transgendered. They just like men, and they live their life like that. Men. Yeah, they're just men. Right. So why wasn't that sufficient for you? Why the additional steps?
That was being gay was just never enough. Because I've always seen, I would look at myself in the mirror and just hate everything about myself. I hated everything masculinity about myself. There was nothing nobody could say to me that could deter me and say, oh, you're fine the way you are. No, that's not enough. There is somebody else that I see that needs to be revealed. And it wasn't until I was 26 years old is when I fully said, you know what? Screw the world. I have to start living for me, because I've seen people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that transition at that age. And it's like, I don't want to live like that.
Right.
I refuse to live like that. And I was like, if I don't do this for me, then when? Because there's going to be somebody else that's going to come up behind me, that's going to need my inspiration, that's going to need my story.
Right.
And so, you know what? I shouldn't wait till I'm 26. Let me talk to my parents now while I'm, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Right.
And if they don't have the strength to do it then, wait until they're, 13 or 14 to have that conversation and say, Mom, Dad, listen, this is what it is.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully by the time, our world and our culture will be a little bit more inclusive and embracing to the conversation.
Now, we have Camille Strahan in the chat, and she's asking, were you inspired because you were the only boy amongst your siblings?
No. Me being around females, which is what I like to call an environmental factor, had absolutely nothing to do with me wanting to be a woman. At the time, a little girl, had absolutely nothing to do with that.
Right.
No.
Okay. Do you think that, and we had a debate about a couple months ago on that topic, do you think that you were born gay? Or is there such a thing as being born more of the other sex? Or is it something that is learned behavior?
Because back then research didn't really show these types of diverse genders.
Right.
And now, however, because science has evolved so much and more people have evolved, now being trans and being gay is actually being studied. And so now we can actually get to a scientific clause and say, hey, yes, there is a gene strand in the DNA that can alter a person's sexuality and also their gender. And also some of the things that I've learned just in my own research and looking at documentaries is that sometimes the mother can give off during pregnancy, during those 9 months of incubating, can actually give off a little bit more estrogen. Not that it's intentional,
right?
But that she gives off just a little bit more estrogen if, you know, she's carrying a male sometimes in her womb.
Right.
And so sometimes that takes that plays a part in that as well. So it's not that, you know, the parents did anything wrong. It's just that during those stages of development, that's just what happens.
Right. So much questions coming in there, but one comment that just came through, I just recognized from Patricia Carut. She said, "Sorry to say, but you were born a man and you should have stayed a man. If you were born, you had a dick or a penis, not a vagina." I'm sure you get this all the time. How do you respond to questions like that, or statements like that?
Well, I just tell them this right here. You know, everybody is allowed their own personal views about that. However, to not negate my experience and how I feel, it's important that, you know, I remain in my lane when it comes to comments like that, because like I tell them, there are people that's born with both male and female anatomies.
Right.
So, you know, do you discredit them or do you discard them because they were born with both? No. So regardless of whether I have a vagina or whether I have a penis, that's just a part of who I am. But it doesn't mean I should have remained there, because had I remained there, then you probably wouldn't see me today. I probably would have taken my life had I not made the choice to go ahead and transition from male to female.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting statement. So you're saying that you felt so locked up, arrested inside your own body, that was you inside of you trying to get out, and if you stayed in there, you probably would have taken your life.
I probably would have taken my own life. I've tried cutting myself several times. I've tried overdosing on pills. A lot of this stuff I've just started talking about because my parents didn't know a lot of this,
right?
Because nobody was ever around when I would attempt suicide. And so if it had not been for me saying, hold up, wait a minute, there's got to be another way to handle this. And so now I'm in a space now where I can actually talk to all people from all spectrums of life and actually share my testimony. It has actually saved people from actually taking their own lives because they thought something was wrong with them because they have never seen another transgender person. They may have experienced the same thing, but actually seeing another transgender person go from being suicidal to being free,
right,
has set them free. So that's what I say to that.
What makes you free? What makes you feel free?
Having no fear about absolutely anything. No fear. I took that from Nina Simone because she was asked the same question. She said, "What is the question was asked? What is freedom?" And she said, "What freedom means to me is no fear." And I feel the same way. You cannot be afraid to be who you are, regardless of what people may say, do, or even think.
But let me just cut you there. Let's stick a pin right there. You said you're not afraid to be who you are, right?
I'm not.
But a lot of people might contradict that and say, well, you were born a man, so that's who you are, right? Did God make a mistake somewhere in the process?
No. I've said this. God is actually transgender. And I say that because God understands the duality of masculinity and femininity.
Right.
Because if we are all, children of God, like we're supposed to be, and we're all made in His image, guess what? They're male and they're female here. And if we're all made in God's image, that should tell people that the spirit of God may not have a gender, but the actual physical element of God may understand and embody both male and female genders. Yeah.
Interesting way to look at it. And of course, when people would judge you or talk to you, they would probably always resort to the Bible.
Oh, absolutely.
Pastors and priests and everyone, they would say what was done. It is completely wrong.
It's immoral.
It's immoral. You would hear all this other stuff, abomination, all of this stuff, destructive to the world, all of this stuff. How do you deal with statements that come across your timeline as it relates to that?
I tell people this: if you first of all, because my parents have been in the church for a long time. Me and my sisters, we went to private Christian school. So, we was in church and in the Bible 8 days a week.
Right.
So there wasn't a time where we wasn't in the Bible. And Paul actually said this. He said, no person can live to the letter of the law, speaking to the Bible.
Right.
And I tell people this right here. Jesus, who came to rewrite the law, which he did, he gave us one commandment, and that's to love each other. He said, love yourself as you will love your neighbor. That's it. He never said who your neighbor would be. He didn't say if your neighbor was going to be black, brown, gay, straight, serial killer. He didn't say any of that. He said just love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Right.
That's it. And so we have to embody that, and that's what I say to people that call themselves Christians. If you're not showing and you're not being the example of what it means to walk like Christ or be in the love of Christ, then guess what? You're not really a Christian.
Right.
So don't use the Bible as a tactic to disassemble and oppress me, because you can't do that. Because when you're free and you're free from religion and you're more on a spiritual high, then you know who you really are. Because religion for me is natural. Being on a spiritual high is where God and Jesus dwells. So that's how I look at that.
Okay, let's talk about society. And let's talk about the logistics of society and how society functions and works. You watch Dave Chappelle? All right. Good.
I did.
All right, good. So he made, for those of you who don't know who Dave Chappelle is, he's a comedian. He just had a Netflix special. I looked at it. I thought he was funny. Dave Chappelle, he has his ways. He's a funny comedian. But he did make some points there that I'm going to throw into my ignorant segment to bring towards you. So being transgender is basically asking the world, the wider community, and everybody else to accept you for the way how you feel.
We're not. First of all, I already know the world isn't going to accept me. And one of the things that I learned early on is that you can't force people to accept you.
Right.
You can help people understand who you are, and you give them the option to say yes or no if I want to be in your life.
Right.
And so I think that's something that a lot of us in the transgender community are starting to take on. We're not asking anybody to accept us fully.
Right.
At all.
I understand.
We just want you to know that we're visible, we're present, we're here.
Right.
And we just want to live our lives day to day, go to work, go to school, have, raise our families, do everything else like normal people, because that's what we are. Because if we all cut each other right now, we're all bleeding the same color, red.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I'll come back to the Dave Chappelle piece in a little bit, but another question that just came to mind is, if a heterosexual male, meet and fall in love with a transgender female like yourself, is that heterosexual male considered to be gay?
No.
Even if that transgender female still has her male parts, she didn't have no surgery, all she do is basically dress the part, act the part. Is that man considered a gay man?
No, he's not considered as a gay man.
So if I for today I went into a party and I met someone who just decided to put on female clothes for that time, for that day, and dress as a female, just as a sport, just for fun. And I met in that party, and for somehow that person had sexual intercourse with that particular person who was just doing it for fun. Is that person considered gay?
Well, I think so that's a twofold question. First of all, a person being transgender, first of all, isn't a choice. This is how I live. This is my lifestyle.
Right.
So I don't take this on and I don't take it off.
Right.
You know, that other person gets that luxury to put it on and put it off when they want to. And we have had instances where we have had males that identify as being gay, but they just love putting on hair, nails, makeup, the heels, the whole nine, and they identify as just being gay.
Right.
So if a man has intercourse with them, a heterosexual male have sex with them, that doesn't necessarily mean that heterosexual male is gay, especially if it was just a one-time situation to where he didn't know. Because a lot of times people may say, "Oh, people know." Well, yeah, they may know, and then there are some people that just don't know, and so you can't hold that against them. Now, what I say to the to a lot of people is this right here. You have to understand the difference between a person just wearing a wig and a dress, and then actually a person living their life as a transgender woman, and what separates the two is what we call HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. And so you have to, that's where the process is, where you go through a doctor who is an endocrinologist, and you have to go to a psychiatrist who has to sign off, and this was my process, where they had to sign off on saying that yes, you do have gender dysphoria, and now being diagnosed with that, the endocrinologist can now prescribe the proper medication, which is estradiol, and can put and I've been on that for 3-4 years now, and now you're able to see the more my breast development, and the widening of the hips, and the feminization of the skin, the softness of it, the hair loss, and all of that.
Right.
So the process is the difference between those people like myself who don't get the luxury of taking it on and off, and those people that are just doing it for sport that do get to take it off.
But it's about acceptance. Generally, it's about that way how you feel, and it's about not necessarily asking for the world to accept you. But this is how you feel, and people should respect the way how you feel.
Right. At the end of the day, one of the conversations that I always have, and that I tell people, we may not agree on everything, but at least you have to respect the other person's point of view.
Right.
Because everybody wants to be respected. Nobody ever wants to be disrespected. That's the worst feeling that you can ever feel, is being disrespected, especially by your own people.
Right.
And so it's already hard enough to get society to wake up and say, okay, yeah, we do have transgender people here, and they're dying at an alarming rate. However, we do need to come to the table and say, what can we do to fix this? Because I think there is space enough for everybody at the table to sit down and have a well thought out conversation about who we are. And I think that's one of the conversation pieces that's missing. Right. And so I believe that's why we're having the largest transgender march this weekend, September 28th, the Trans March on DC, to show that we are here, that we are visible, that we do have a voice. And we want people to understand that way, and it's not being forced, but at least understand that we're human too. Right. Because at the end of the day, we're a human race. Yeah. And society is the one that has caused all of this division.
Okay, let me ask you a Dave Chappelle question. Back to the Dave Chappelle thing. If today, tomorrow, and LeBron James, you saw that,
LeBron.
I am going gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. Sorry, LeBron, but hey, Dave Chappelle started.
We love you, LeBron.
We love you, LeBron. Do your thing over there, right? So if LeBron James is one of the top players for the Lakers, I think he's back with the Lakers. Or wherever he plays, he moves around a lot. So he scores a lot in the NBA.
Yes.
And if today, tomorrow, LeBron James say, you know what, I have for all my life, similar to your story, you know, I feel like identify more with being a female. So he went to the whole endocrinologist type thing. He get all of that stuff. Then he get the female treatment that made him a little more broad and all that other stuff. So that means that he no longer could play with the NBA. He now have to play with the women's NBA and score like 500 points per game. Is he or should he be? Is it or should it be just accepted or respected that LeBron James would make that decision and transfer over to the women's NBA and be accepted as a woman?
Well, okay, so first of all, like I was explaining the process, there's a process when it comes to actually having legal paper documents saying that you have done everything you need to do to be identified no longer as a male but as a female, because I have my paperwork is right over here. Right. And so
he get his papers. He get his papers.
Oh, he got everything.
He got his papers, yeah.
So I feel at this point, because what people have to realize is when you get on these hormones, and for trans men it's different. So when you get on hormones as a transgender woman, the muscle breakdown of it, so you're not as strong as you used to be. You know, there's so much that happens with the body, and then especially with him being older.
So are you saying that women are weaker than men?
I'm not going to say women are weaker than men, because there are times and there are instances where, because basketball is a physical sport, so you're constantly working out and you're building muscle strength all day. Right. So I would never say that, but it has been said, you know, throughout, you know, society that because women's body frames are a little bit are smaller, than the male body frame. And so that doesn't mean that the female is just weaker. It's just the frame of the body is just different. But what I want people to understand this is that when a transgender woman is transitioning, that during the process of them taking HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, there is a softening of the tissue and there is a breakdown of the muscle mass. Now, if a person is in the gym constantly working out, of course that muscle mass is going to be there. It's going to be noticeable. However, if a transgender woman doesn't, you're definitely going to see a diminishing of the body.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I have another question about respect and acceptance, right? Under the same analogy that we're working with as it relates to transgender, respecting everyone's opinion on what their decisions are, and I'm all for that. I don't want anyone to think any differently. I'm just asking ignorant questions.
Absolutely.
Right. So someone is trans-able, right? Meaning that they're perfectly able to do everything, but they want to be respected as a disabled person or trans age, where I might be 65, but I want to be treated as 10 years old, right? You have all of this different trans, so we could, and I expect you to respect me for treating me as a 10-year-old, not as a 45-year-old man. Should that be no problem? Should that be widely accepted and respected without question?
Yeah, because when you put it in that type of context, when it comes to acceptance and then also respecting, I think that if the person is 45 years old, there has been something mental that has maybe shifted, and so
you're saying that that person is mental? They have a mental disorder?
Right. I'm saying that because taking my experience as people have said, oh, you're not a woman, you're a man, and people fail to understand that when you have to go to a psychiatrist, that's step one of the process. So I would say the same thing. Nobody has gone all these years, and then now you're 45 years old, and then boom, oh, I'm 10 years old now.
But we're using the same example. We're using the same example that we set forth. We're using the blueprint. I'm using the blueprint where you said that at the age of 26. I mean, you
at 26.
26. So you were living a different life before until you came upon that point. So same like someone could come to you and say, Z, what you talking about? You have a mental issue or what? Why do you need to wear women's clothes?
Well, I think first of all, for me, and for this person that wants to be 10 years old, they have to fully accept the fact that, listen, I'm 10 years old. I'm going to be treated as a 10-year-old, not a 45-year-old person now.
Right.
And so for me, I had to accept the fact that I am a woman now, and I want people to respect the fact that I am a woman now. And that goes for same thing for transgender men or anybody else.
Right.
Because we all evolve. And so when we get into these spaces where things happen and things change, the individual, has to accept it first. And once the person accepts it first, go do whatever they need to go do, whether it's a mental problem or if it's therapy or if they need to go get in therapy, whatever it is, they need to go seek that. And then I believe that's when the respect will come along, because it's now it's about how you carry yourself.
Right.
So if you carry yourself like I carry myself as a woman 24/7, 365, and there's not. It's not that I demand your respect. It's just that when I come into a room, there's a certain presence that I bring, and it causes people to respect me because of who I am. Because I walk in not thinking, I got it all together or whatever like that.
Right.
But it's just that I know who I am and I'm comfortable. And so the same thing can be said about this 45-year-old person that wants to be 10. If they're walking around here acting 10 years old, then you have to understand that you're going to be treated like a 10-year-old.
Got you. Okay. Good. Guys, we're talking to Z. Z, how you doing so far? We doing good? We doing good?
Good.
We doing good?
Yes.
All right. We're doing good. We're doing good. Good. What is a woman?
There's no definition for what a woman is. A woman is what you make it.
A woman is what you make it.
Like for a woman is what you make it. I don't think there's a clear definition on what it means to be a woman, because for some people, a woman could be a stay-at-home wife and just raise the kids,
right,
like it was in the older days. But now we have evolved to this. Some women have evolved to this mindset of, I need to be mom, dad. I have to be provider. I have to be everything. So that may be the definition of a woman to somebody else.
Right.
And then for somebody else, a woman may just be the embodiment of everything feminine. There's no clear and concise definition of what it means to be a woman.
In physics, not talking about the attribute or a woman stay at home or decide to. No, I'm talking about a physical attribute question on an examination.
So that's a gender question.
It's a gender question. What is a woman?
Okay. So gender is what I like to call something my sister put me on. She said it's what the doctor hypothesized when you came out of the womb.
Right. Okay.
So
hypothesize. Explain that. What the doctor hypothesized, meaning that what the doctor.
So a hypothesis is just an educated guess about something.
So he guessed. Okay.
Yeah. So the doctor made an educated guess based off of his experiences and his knowledge of being an OBGYN, and said you are a female, and vice versa for men too, based on the genitalia of a person.
But wouldn't that be more physical instead of hypothesis? You look and you see that is a penis right there. That's a boy child. Or that's a vagina right there. That's a girl child. So that's not a hypothesis. That's not an educated guess. That is a physical. You look and you see.
It's just a physical attribute. But who's to say? I'm sorry, somebody's trying to text me.
Right.
But who's to say that? And I saw this on a documentary, but who's to say that person that the doctor made an educated guess on said that they was a male actually turned out to have physical attributes and started characterizing themselves as a female. So that shows that the doctor made a mistake. That's why and even with me, because I don't need to know everything, because I'm still coming into the knowledge and the know of a lot of things, because things are quickly evolving.
Right.
So when the doctor made that guess, I can say, well, the doctor was wrong, because guess what? That's not a boy, or that's not a male.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And vice versa for the girl, because it does happen. And also when it comes down to hermaphrodites, people that was born with both genitalia, both a penis and a vagina. It's like, okay, so what do you say about who they are? And so back in I believe it was in the 60s and the 70s, what was happening, the doctor, the parents were making the decision, which was a violation of the child's human right, to decide on which sex the child should be, instead of allowing the child to grow up and say, this is what I want to be, or wait until the child develops and say, this is what I identify as.
So it goes against it. Basically, it goes against what we was originally thought.
Right.
So so it's not a boy child in your analogy of it. A boy child is not a boy child. He could be born resembling a boy child, but he could develop into whatever he decides to be. That's your analogy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in that, and that should be in the analogy, that should be respected for whatever that person decides. And
right, and we call those people non-binary people. Those are people that don't identify with having a gender at all. They don't identify as male or female.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the acceptance question, in the acceptance line of question, if someone, and being respected, if someone feels that they are a male and they don't want to have any relationship with man or woman, instead they're attracted to animals.
Okay.
Right? Should there be any steps taken to correct that, or to psychoanalyze?
How you doing this to me?
I am going to your analogy. We go into the analogy, to the book of the analogy.
Okay.
What should should that be accepted?
Let me say this, and God help me. So let me say this: when it comes down to that, it's just one. I don't know. I'm tongue-tied on that one because I just feel like if a person falls in love with an animal,
Right.
because I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people out here that love their animals more than they're part of their family.
Right.
So let me just make that clear. But
Yeah.
I don't think, and I don't believe, just like everybody could have an opinion about me, you know, saying that I should be a man and I should be that way and I shouldn't be living my life as a woman. I could say the same thing for that person and say, you know, it's just my belief that, you know, you shouldn't be having any type of sexual intercourse with an animal.
Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? Why
can-
shouldn't he be loved and accepted just as how we love and accept you for
Well,
what
I'm not
you
saying
are?
I'm not saying they should, that, you know, they shouldn't be accepted because people do it all the time. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, don't say anything about it because a lot of people know, because I'm pretty sure, because we're all adults here. And so I'm pretty sure people have seen on a lot of different forums that, you know, there are people that have sex with animals on a lot of these porn sites. So it's like I just feel like, you know, when it comes down to certain things like that, you really just got to say, you know, either you're for it or you're not.
Right.
And just like some people are for who I am, and then some people are not. So it's like you're either for it or you're not, and you can accept it or not. Because like me being trans, a lot of people don't accept it, and we can agree to disagree. But you know, just having a playing field of understanding is what's needed. So if you can help me understand why you're in love with an animal, then that will maybe help me understand who you are and where you get this attraction from.
Right.
And that way I can respect it more.
Right. All right, guys,
Yeah.
let me open up the phone lines here. We open up the phone lines right now, guys. If you want to call, say a few words to Z. Z, you could take a breather by now. You could drink something nice as we open up the phone lines. The number that you call, guys, 718-701-5720. We're taking your call right now. The number 718-701-5720. That's the number on your screen. If you're calling on WhatsApp, you could also call there at the same number, 718-701-5720, or you could call via the phone lines. We want to hear your input to myself or Z on this topic right here. Z is open and she's answering all the questions. I gotta say thanks again, Z.
Of course, I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's great. Great stuff.
Yeah.
I had a question okay. Everyone is asking and they say, please ask this question.
Okay.
You could choose to answer, don't I? It's up to you.
I'm an open book. So
You're open
trust
book.
me.
All right.
I'm an open book. I don't mind.
Did you or are you or have you went the full? Okay, we got a call coming. Let me take that.
Okay,
call.
go ahead.
Okay, come on. It's coming on to the. Okay, there we go. Let's take that call coming in. Caller, you live. Turn down your background audio. Where you calling us from? Hello. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, turn down your background audio. Your device at the back. I'm hearing myself.
Yes, hello.
Yes, how you doing? Go ahead, caller.
I'm fine. I just want to ask him a question.
Yeah.
You hearing me properly?
Yeah. Well, she would like to be considered a female.
Okay,
Yes,
I would
When
like
you
to
say
ask her a
him,
question.
when you say him, what's the term you de? Well, there is a term, but anyway, go ahead. I understand. Go ahead with your question.
Okay.
Go ahead. Listen to me on the phone. Just turn down your background audio. Go ask your question.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better. Go ahead.
Okay, my question to you is, were you born a man or a woman?
Right. Are you hearing the caller?
I can't hear him.
No, you can't. Oh, sorry. I don't know why, but the caller just asked, were you born a man or a woman? I think that was said from the top. She was born a man.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you word of advice. You need to go and read the Bible, Romans 1, 26 to 27, 1 Timothy 1, verses 9 to 10, 1 Corinthians 6, verses 9 to 10.
What did it say? No, what that part of, hello?
Yes.
What the scriptures in those Bibles said?
Yes, the scripture is saying that God is strongly against what she did. God made everyone in their own image and his own likeness, and she was born a man. That's how the Lord made her, and she changed herself to be a woman. And the Lord is very, very strongly against that. And all those scriptures that I just gave, she can read them for herself and understand for her own self. I still love you. I'm not condemning you. I'm just pointing you to what I know the Bible says.
Right. Okay, caller, thank you so much for your input, okay?
Welcome.
All right. The caller is saying that she gave us a couple of scriptures in the Bible, where she said that that it is wrong. The Lord never said that for what you did, it is wrong. It is wrong. A couple other things that she said. I'm sure you're going to go back on the live and watch it. But I'm sure people use the Bible a lot to contrast.
The Bible never said anything about God hating transgender people. It never said anything like that. Now, it does not, in Proverbs, it does say there are 6 things that the Lord hates.
Right.
And so, if people want to pull their Bible, I think people have to understand that if you're going to utilize the Bible against another person or another subculture of people, make sure that in that Bible that you have worked out your own soul salvation, because that's what it tells us to do.
Right.
So we can't point the finger at somebody else and you're still flawed.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good point taken right there. We got another caller on the line. Caller, you live. Where you calling us from?
Hi, I'm calling from Toronto.
You're calling from Toronto. How are you doing, Toronto?
I'm doing great. Z, you look fabulous.
Oh, she says, Z, you look fabulous. Z can't hear, so I have to translate. For some reason, she can't hear. She says, Z, you look fabulous. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. I have 3 questions for you.
Okay, you have a question Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Question number 1. How do you react to if a lesbian was to try and make an attempt at you? Okay,
let me ask you that question. The first question that the caller wants to find out is, how do you react if a lesbian make a pass at you?
I've had that happen to me before, and so I just tell them, listen, I'm strictly dickly, sorry. I'm strictly dickly.
Okay.
I don't, hey, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I appreciate the come on.
Okay. Caller, you heard that? What's the next question?
I did.
Huh? What's the next question?
She lays it on the table right away, right?
Sorry?
I said she lays it on the table right away.
Yeah, she says she tell them she's strictly dickly.
Okay, got it. My second question is, have you undergo the full process of being a female?
Hey, that was my question.
You did. What's the cost of it?
Okay, all right. So the next question she asking, have you undergo the full process of transitioning into a female? And if you did, what was the cost of it?
I have not done it. However, I have done my research, and here in the United States, it can get extremely costly. Depends on where you go, but I have heard overseas it is a little bit cheaper. But I'm not sure if that's something I personally would want to do just yet, because I'm still trying to work out a lot of things with me. So once I get that worked out,
but I thought you was in full 100. Are you saying that you have second thoughts, or you may have second thoughts about this?
No, it's not that I have second thoughts, but while you're in transition, that's what I call a transition. While you're in transition, you have to make 100% sure that this is something that you want to do, because once you do it, there's no turning back.
Right. So how much percent are you sure? How much percent are you sure?
Right now, I'm at 75% sure that I will have the surgery. but the other 25%, excuse me, is just that uncertainty there, because for me, if I get with a man or someone that finds me attractive just the way that I am now,
right?
I don't, and it's not me being selfish or anything like that. I don't want to take that component away from him, because there have been instances where a lot of men have said, don't change anything about you. You are fine. You are perfect the way that you are. Why would you want to change anything about you? And these are coming from heterosexual men that are saying this to me. And so they always said, well, if you do that, then you're just another regular female. So what stands out for a lot of heterosexual men, not all, and let me just make that clear, not all, but for those that are trans attractive, me still having my male anatomy is more of a treasure for them, and they're like, you're golden.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm kind of sweating now because you just opened up a million questions to me. Hey, hold on, caller, you still there?
Yeah, my last question is...
last question. She have a last question. Okay, you have a last question.
Okay,
the last question is, are you married?
No, I'm divorced.
Okay, she's divorced.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, Toronto.
Thank you, caller.
So, Lady Z. So you don't want to have buyer's remorse. Like it seems to me, you are thinking to yourself in the back of your head, what if, or you could correct me if I'm wrong, what if when I'm 65, 75 or so, later down in age, and I'm like, yo, this is, I wanna use this stuff that, you know, that penis that I once had. Now you don't have it anymore, it's cut off. And then you're thinking, damn, I made a bad decision. Is that what's in the back of your mind?
Well, no, because I don't use it now, so it doesn't even bother me.
What is sex like? Ignorant question. Ignorant.
No, go ahead.
What is sex like?
Sex for me, while I can't fully ejaculate or come, my body, I think I have trained my body to orgasm. So when I have a full orgasm, when I reach my climax, my body it does something off the wall. It's like it hits a euphoria that I've never felt before. And so that's what happens when you're on a testosterone suppressant. It kind of suppresses that. So now that, because I know my body and I've learned it enough, I don't, listen, if you know what you're doing, you can get me there. Oh my God.
One question that I wanted to ask about that, when you said that if someone, a heterosexual male, is attracted to a female who is transgender female, then he is not considered considered gay.
Right.
I could, because one time we had a battle of the sexes, and we had this conversation with heterosexual male and myself and two female who are both heterosexual, and then they was talking about anal sex.
Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah, that's fine. That's intersex with a female. And he was saying, that's fine. He don't have no problems doing that. And a lot of men have no problem doing that. I mean, my view of it is different, and I've never done it. That's just my style. So I could understand where you say that heterosexual men having or falling in love for transgender women because of the anal sex part of it, but the anatomy is what is sometimes from a man to a man point of view, who is just, we expect something else there, in other words. So it's hard to understand that from my point of view, but I understand that people do feel that way.
Yeah, You know, I could do this. I could answer that in so many ways, or go do that in so many ways. It's like, you know, so it's having anal sex. Does that mean you're gay?
Right.
Or, you know, or is having vaginal sex, does that mean you're straight?
Right.
You know, sex is just sex. It's something that makes us feel good in those few little minutes or seconds or hours, depending on how long you go.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just because you have a penis there instead of a vagina, sex is sex. Whether it's anal, vaginal, oral, you know. Yeah, do oral sex. Everybody can do oral sex. Everybody got a mouth. So does that mean that, you know, a person is straight or is a person gay because they have oral sex? No, sex is just sex. And I think once we start removing the labels of, you know, of what our idea of sex is, and say, oh, well, if you have anal sex, that means you're gay, or if you have vaginal sex, that means you're straight. Sex is just what that is. Sex, this is just my opinion and my belief. Sex was created to procreate, to make sure that life continues to go on. That's how I view sex. Right. And then, you know, that's just what it was here for.
But if you just said, guys, sorry for the light. If you're saying that sex was created to procreate and all of that stuff, when that's contradictory, right? Because if you have an anal sex, you're not procreating and you have no intention of procreating.
No, I was getting ready to say, you know, for those people that don't mind procreating,
right,
you know, that's their decision.
Right.
But if you have that, I mean, because I mean, you can even go as far as say those women, people that have vaginal sex, there are women that can't get pregnant. The people that are barren, you know, that can never conceive. So it's like it's just, I mean, it's just sex. Sex is just bad.
Right.
But I always stay protected, though.
Yeah. No matter how you decide, just make sure you're protected.
Have protected sex,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, my light is failing me. We're way over time. This is part 2. So I think that, you know, it's something that a lot of people want to understand. You know, I don't think it's because they are so much against the decision. They just want to understand. And I think more awareness and advocacy and letting people know where you're coming from, where you stand on this topic, would bring a better acceptance. Like the very first time, I remember, the very first time that I had a transgender female on the program, the community came against me like a ton of brick. Like how dare you bring someone to talk about this on the program, right? I mean, everybody. Really? It was crazy, because I think our community is still, you know, in the growing acceptance phase. And I say that with no apology. That is factual. Our community has a lot of work to do in acceptance in those fields. Right. So the first time I had a transgender female or anyone of that lifestyle on the program, I got heavily criticized. Right. But that didn't stop us from having it again. So I had a second conversation right along with a second female. I think that was a male this time who transitioned into a female, something of that. And that got a lot of attention as well. But we did it again and again, and we saw the acceptance just gradually. People said, okay, well, let it live their life. Whatever they decide to do, let it do it. That's their life at the end of the day. Yeah. And I think where we are right now, it's more of a, okay, well, that's what she want to do. Let she choose to do what she want to do. But I think from a heterosexual perspective, we're just saying, listen, that's your life. You live your life. I live mine. What you do in the privacy of your bedroom should not affect me, what I do in my privacy of my bedroom.
Well, let me say this. It's not even privacy, because I feel like this, and to what you just said, Dr. Phil did a study. I shouldn't say a study, but on one of his shows, there was a separation of people that identified as Christian, and then there were people that identified as LGBT or allies. And so the question was asked to the Christians, how does what a person who is gay in a happy, healthy relationship that lives in California, what does that have to do with you, your family, your 3 kids, y'all wonderful house on the hill with the picket fence, y'all have 7-figure, figures in your bank account? How does what they do over here in California affect you? And you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Because this couple could not answer the question. And I think that once we get into a space where we can ask those types of questions to each other and not make people feel bad about it, and don't feel bad about asking the question either, then I think we'll grow into more of an acceptance, because at that point it's not being forced, but it's making you take a look at who you are as a person and say, you know what, hey, whether I don't even know these people. So how can I speak on something that I don't know? And I have to say that, and I have to say this to people. It's important to never to speak on something that you don't know.
Right.
Because when you bring an assumption about something, especially about transgender women, because we are being murdered at an alarming rate. 19 trans women this year,
yes.
I believe, have been murdered. 18 saying something, they fear it, and when they fear it, they try to get rid of it, and so that's what happens.
Yes.
And that's what has happened in a lot of our communities, in our trans community, I should say.
Yeah. Listen, I'm doing like a makeshift kind of light system here set up right now.
I see you got a lot going on.
A lot, so much. I know that we'll have this conversation again, or on different levels, on different levels.
Yeah.
And the other thing, which is a misconception that a lot of people say, even it's highly believed in our community, that transgender and folks in the LGBT community, gay men have more sex than heterosexual. And when you really look at the statistic, that is not factual. Heterosexual male and female have more sex, of course, than anyone else. Which and there is also a misconception that folks in that community spread STDs and HIV on a wider scale, which is not the fact either. It's not written in facts.
No.
So all of these misconceptions are there and still need to be spoken about, talk about, bring a better understanding. It has to be addressed.
Absolutely.
It has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. So there's still a lot of conversation that needs to be had in this situation. There's a lot more. And,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I appreciate you coming in here and dealing with some of my ignorant questions as well.
Of course.
We shall do this sometime again. I give you an opportunity, put you on full camera, go ahead and talk to the people. Your opportunity to say whatever you want to say and closing thoughts.
Okay. I would just want to say this. Thank you, Junior, for allowing me to come on and be a part of this. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and allowing me to come on as an advocate and as a trans woman that's living in her truth and in her freedom to be able to share the knowledge and my experience to share with the audience. I just want to say to everyone, live life, love hard, and be free. To any and everyone that you come across, I believe in that. And we as Black people have already been oppressed by other people. Let's not oppress each other. Let's love each other, and let's be more inclusive and understanding of each other. There you go.
Yep, there you go. Thank you so much. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah. At the end of the day, right, I think it's all to do with acceptance and understanding. Folks in the LGBT community have to accept and understand that heterosexual folks like myself and other people don't necessarily have to agree, but it's okay to respect it. You don't have to agree with me, but I don't mean you come and hit me a baseball bat upside my head because I disagree with what I'm saying. Although some people act like that anyway. But what I'm saying is that acceptance goes both ways, right? There needs to be a bigger, broader discussion and conversation about this, right? And she said it right. What does someone in Chicago doing with their life right now in their bedroom? How is that affecting me here in New York? Absolutely doesn't. Not in any way. Just like when I live here and I go home, it's not affecting anybody in Chicago, Illinois, or any place else. It's a fact of it. Clive, Philip, thank you so much. Francis, thank you so much. Patricia, thank you so much. Everyone who chimed in, respectfully, we appreciate you as well.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Grenadian products are now only a mouse click away at GrenadaMarket.com. Nutmeg and guava jams, jellies and the syrups, world famous nutmeg pain relief spray, black sage, soursop, lemongrass, and guavande bar. Ordering is simple and friendly. All major credit cards accepted. Safe, secure shopping guaranteed. GrenadaMarket.com ships your product anywhere in the world. So when you can't go to the island, the products off the island can be sent to you. Just log on to www.grenadamarket.com and experience our quick delivery and homely service.